أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope all of you and your loved ones would be doing fine and you will be having great time with your families. As all of you are aware of the initiation of online classes because of the continuity of lockdown in Pakistan and the subsequent closure of the academic institutes in the country. So the university has decided to initiate to start online classes for this semester, and from now onward we would start having online lectures. So by following the schedule of our subject, I would share or I would upload a lecture on YouTube channel, and I would also share this lecture in the WhatsApp group, because right now the LMS system, which has been launched recently by the university, it's facing some issues right now, and an effort has been made by the administration to resolve these issues, and I hope soon those issues will be addressed and you guys would be provided with your login IDs, and then we would shift from the WhatsApp groups and YouTube channel to the LMS system. So in our today's lecture we would talk about the basic concepts of IR. In our previous lectures before midterm exams, we have gone through some of the key theoretical paradigms which are heavily emphasized in the study of IR, and we also tried to have a brief overview of some of the concepts, some of the ideas which are studied in the international relations, like the international interest, foreign policy, diplomacy. So today we would talk about some of the key concepts of international relations, and in the next lecture we would try to conclude that topic. So first of all, we will have a overlook at the contents of today's lecture, and when we talk about the international relations, the first question that comes to our mind is who conducts or who gets involved in the business of international relations. So we would talk about the state actors and non-state actors as well, that how they play or how they get involved to manage the affairs in international relations with other states. And we would one by one we would talk about the non-state actors, such as the intergovernmental organizations, multinational corporations, non-governmental organizations, terrorist groups, and if we would have some time we would try to talk about the concept of sovereignty and polarity as well. So we would start with who conducts international relations. So as we already have discussed, and most of you will be familiar with the international organizations, the United Nations, and almost all the sovereign state entities are a member of this very organization. So from the membership of that organization we can see that there are around 200 states which are member states of the United Nations, and they are sovereign entities which have been recognized by almost all the states around the world. There are some states who face challenges on the aspects of having recognition from other states. So we would also talk about those in the later part of our discussions. Intergovernmental organizations such as the United Nations, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organizations, the European Union and the Arab League, these are some of the examples of the intergovernmental organizations that also play a very crucial role in the business of or in the network of international relations, or when states try to establish relationship with other states. Along with state actors, these non-state actors like intergovernmental organizations, they also play a crucial role in the modern political systems. Multinational corporations, these are also known as the transnational companies. They also play a very significant role in the conduct of international relations among states. And then non-governmental organizations and some terrorist groups like those are actually not considered legal actors in the international systems because they do not follow the law. So, but they also have impact on states' policies. So we would also consider that in the study of in our today's discussion. So these are the sort of actors who play a convincing role or who play a comprehensive role in state-to-state relationships. And in order to conduct the affairs of the states with other states, all these state and non-state actors play specific roles according to their functions and purposes. So now, first of all, we would talk about the state actors. From the very beginning of the discipline of political science, which is a mother discipline of international relations, states have always been the key actors. In the very start of this discipline, states were the only entities who got involved in conducting relationship with other states. Non-state actors were hardly existing at that time. Even though they were existing, they were not playing a crucial role. So with the passage of time and the widening sphere of the state's activity in the modern era, the functions and the actors which are involved in conducting state-to-state relationships, they have increased in numbers recently. And not only states are not the only actors who play their part in having relationship with other states. So besides states, non-state actors also play a very crucial role in the modern era. But still, like states are the most important players when we talk about conducting states relationship with other states in the world. And states are given so much significance and value because of various factors, and one of these factors is that it is a sovereign entity that has a monopoly on power, especially military power. Another significant aspect of the state actor is like all the crucial decisions, whether related to domestic politics or foreign policy, they are being taken by the states rather than the non-state actors. So states still enjoy mm, a crucial role in the business of international relations, and they are the most important actors because of their superior role in the affairs of international relations. Now we will talk about the non-state actors, which has recently gained significance in the affairs of international relations. In the past few years, they have gained prominence in the affairs of international relations because of their emerging role and significance. There are various non-state actors involved in the affairs of international relations, and we will talk about the crucial or the significant non-state actors one by one, and we would have a brief overview of all these non-state actors. So first of all, we will talk about the intergovernmental organizations. These are the formal associations of states which come into being by some sort of treaty, by the signing of some sort of treaty and charter. Different IGOs exist for different purposes. These purposes include cooperation and security, regulation, economic, educational, and cultural objectives. So the different intergovernmental organizations play different sort of roles, keeping in view the particular or specific purposes they have been established for. So when we talk about some of the examples of intergovernmental organizations, United Nation, nowadays United Nation is one of the most significant example of this intergovernmental organization. We had a similar sort of intergovernmental organization before the United Nation, and that was the League of Nations, which is also called the child of First World War. When we talk about the international relations, one of the key objectives or a key purpose of international politics is to avoid war and maintain peace at the international level. So these intergovernmental organizations also try to avoid conflicts among states by playing a mediatory role, and they have like there is a debatable aspect of the functions of intergovernmental organizations which are being played in the international politics. When we talk about the International Court of Justice, one of the organs established under the United Nations, its decisions are not binding, but most of the time they are like it's up to states whether to accept those or not. So there are some debatable aspects about the role and functions played by these intergovernmental organization, but beside that criticism, still it plays, these intergovernmental organizations play a very crucial role in the international politics or international affairs in the current time. Now we will talk about another significant and important multinational, non-state actor, which is multinational corporations. Because of the presence of so many multinationals in almost all the countries around the globe, we are quite familiar with the multinational corporations, and these are the entities, these are the companies that have operations in more than one country, as it is quite clear from the very word multinational. That means like uh, a phenomena that involves more than one country or nation. So these MNCs are important because of their size and their ability to influence government policies, even in more powerful states. So these are considered important because of the role they play and because of the impact they have on the policies of the government, because of the globalized nature of the international world. These multinational corporations have gained significance in the modern era because of their multidimensional role and because of their impact on the states' policies around the world, whether those states are small states or big states. Impact they still impact the policies of all the states around the globe. So these non-state actors also play a very significant role in the international politics or international affairs. Now we will talk about the non-governmental organizations. They are also called NGOs. They are the legal entities that are independent of governments and are not businesses. They are different from the multinational corporations, which are like predominantly business enterprises. And these non-governmental organizations which we are talking about right now, they are not typically business enterprises, rather they deliver certain services in such as uh, welfare or relief services. These NGOs can also influence the government policies, particularly in areas such as the environment and human rights. These are the two areas which have become quite prominent in nowadays politics around the globe. Especially the environmental degradation has become issue which is being faced by the international community, not just by one or few countries. So these NGOs, they, beside providing services such as welfare or relief, they also play the role of campaigning to create awareness among the people around the globe about environmental degradation and human rights situation. So these non-state actors, they do enjoy a certain influence over government policies beside other non-state actors. There are so many, we can find so many examples. When we look at this picture, we can see so many examples of NGOs, like non-governmental organizations, which are being operating all around the globe for welfare and relief services. Few are also operating in Pakistan as well. Now we will talk about the terrorist groups. They are not regarded as a legitimate actor in international relations because they operate in outside the law, outside the international law. But we have seen in recent years that these groups, such as Al Qaeda, have proved their capability to influence the government or to impact the government policies. So, though they are not legitimate actors in the study of international relations, but still they are being considered as like a significant, important non-state actor in the study of international relations. And they like have been operating in so many countries. So this is another aspect that brings these non-state actors in a limelight when we talk about the study of international relations. So we were having discussion about both the state and non-state actors. So there are few dominant paradigms which are being studied or which are taken as a lens to study the international relations. These are realism and liberalism or idealism. These are the two dominant theoretical paradigms which we study in the international relations. And these, both the states and non-state actors, are typically relevant when we talk about both these theories of international relations. So when we talk about the realism paradigm, one of the main approaches in international relations, like it is one of the key approaches of international relations, and it is concerned entirely with relations between states. Like they emphasize only the state actors. This paradigm emphasizes too much on state actors when while having or studying about the international relations. While on the other hand, liberalism, idealism, that can also be compared with pluralism, is quite the opposite approach of realism, and it involves almost all types of actors, both state and non-state actors, because both states and non-state actors have a potential impact on the affairs of the states while states conduct relationship with other states. So both state and non-state actors, they are the part and parcel of the study of international relations, and we would keep on having a thorough discussion about the paradigms of international relations, and in our later discussions we will have a detailed discussion about the various roles played by the both states and non-state actors in international relations. So now we will talk about the three concepts of the state actors. Like there are various aspects associated with state, and there is too much confusion between these three concepts of the states, which we will talk about now. The first one is like the state as a legal person, the sovereign entity which has a monopoly of power over a specific territory. The other concept of the state is the state as a country. Like in this we talk about the four ingredients on which state is comprised of, and the state as a government. Like in order to run the affairs of the government, the state governments are brought into, or governments are established to run the affairs of the state. So these are the three concepts, related concepts of state. But in the international politics, we are predominantly concerned with the first aspect of state as a legal person. So we would emphasize on the first aspect of state in our later discussion. So now we will talk about the diversity of states. So when it is said that it is a convenient fiction to treat states as similar entities, we refer to the status of states in the international politics. Like theoretically all the states are, like whether small or big, weak or powerful, they are equal in the eyes of law, and that has been mentioned in the Charter of the United Nations. But the reality is quite the opposite. There are vast differences between states. So there are we can see that there are some strong states and there are some weak states around the world. There are some states like having too much population, and there are some states having a lot of territory, while others are like quite, they have very few people, and even in terms of size they are not quite big. So there is a dichotomy when we talk about the diversity of states in theory and practice. In theory, things are quite different from the things which are there in reality when we talk about the status of states in the international system. There are around 193 states that are members of the United Nations, and United States of America is one, like China, Russia, and Britain, France, Germany. Like there are so many strong states that are member of the United Nations, but there are very weak states which are also a member of the United Nations. So in theory both of them are equal in the eyes of law, but in practice the things are quite the opposite. And even the when we talk about the United Nations Security Council's veto powers, it's again the negation of the equality of states, because those five member states, those five veto powers have been invested with a lot of power and authority, which is not being equally shared with all the like the rest of the states around the world. So this diversity of state has always been there, and still it's there, and it's practically it looks practically impossible to like get rid of this diversity of state status in the international system. So there are two types of terminologies which we use for bigger states and smaller states. The micro states are the ones like which are very small in terms of population, or we can also say that in terms of territory. But typically, it is more or less associated with the population, like the number of people which a state has. So Norway is one of the state which has less than 10,000 people, and it has not this country does not even have its own military to impose the writ of the government on a specified territory of that state, and it is mostly dependent on the economic aid from the other states. So there are some other similar states in the world which are like which have very few people, and they are quite small in terms of size, and as compared to the powerful states, they are nothing. Like their power is almost nothing as compared to the major powers around the world. Microstates are the ones who are where they have a lot of population, like China is the biggest country in terms of population, and India, Russia, the United States, Brazil, Pakistan, Indonesia, these are some of the states around the world who have one of the biggest populations around the world, and they would be included in the macro states. So now we will talk about another significant aspect of international relation, which is related with states typically, and that is the recognition. In order to be sovereign independent states, states are required to have recognition from other states of the world, and it is quite a significant aspect of international relations. Several states, like so many states around the world, they declare themselves as sovereign states, but they fail to achieve international recognition. They do they self declare that they are sovereign independent states, but they fail to get the recognition from other states of the world. These sorts of states are called breakaway states, or territories involved in ethnic disputes. One of such example is the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, or it is also termed as the Turkish Cyprus, and the other is related state is the Greek Cyprus. So there are some other examples which we can found in the international politics, like the states with limited recognition. So the recognition is one of the key aspects when we talk about the sovereignty of states, and states are required to get recognized, get themselves recognized by the other states of the world. So continuing with that, like now we will take another example of Palestine. Palestine has been recognized by like 131 members states of the UN, but has no real power. Even though it has been recognized, Palestine has been recognized by so many states of the world, but still it does not enjoy a real power. Why is the case? Like Palestine is not recognized by Israel, which exercise real power in the territory claimed by Palestine. So like so many dimensions of power politics are also involved with this limited recognition stuff of states, though Israel is not recognized by as many members of states around the world as the Palestine is, but still like the Palestine is not enjoying the real authority over the territory which it claims.